This is Eat, Sleep, Invest, the marketing podcast for real estate investors to get more deals. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Eat, Sleep, and Invest. I'm your host, Bryan Driscoll, and today we're here with Nicole Espinosa. What's going on, Nicole?
Hey, Bryan. Happy to be here.
Hey, glad to have you. So today's going to be interesting because Nicole deals with a specific side of real estate. So Nicole, why don't you give us a little bit of background on what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. So what we do is we specialize in short sales. So it's a completely different niche in real estate. When you really think about all the different things that people normally talk about, short sales is generally not one of them, right? So what we do is very specific, where we're helping these homeowners all over the country that are behind on their payments and they just can't sell. They're losing their house to foreclosure, and we're partnering with investors and realtors to help create a solution that normally wouldn't be there. So for investors, we help them, monetize on the leads that they normally would walk away from, and homeowners, we help negotiate their debt so that they can walk away and free and clear from that.
Okay, cool. So you're saying, like on the investor side, if I were to come across a property that looks like a deal and I talk to the person, they're like, we owe too much money. Like I can't even work up numbers. That's something that I could bring to you, and then you would go to the bank and negotiate.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to kind of give you a numbers, if you're coming across a deal and you're like, hey, I want to buy this house, the seller's on board, and you're like, the most I'd be able to do is 100,000, but they owe 150. Normally you look at it and say, okay, this isn't a deal. I literally can't pay 150 because I'm overpaying. And what mostly people do is say, okay, it's not a deal. I'm sorry, I can't help you. In those situations, you bring it to us and we actually get the bank to take a $50,000 loss to accept your offer. Now, of course, it's up to the bank, and the bank's going to, go through their process, but that's what we're doing. We're negotiating so the bank takes a loss, because in those situations, the homeowner still needs help, right? They just owe more than the house is worth for a lot of reasons, because they've been behind, because they have some type of financial hardship.
Okay. And that's an interesting topic too. Like, what do you think, like with the pre-foreclosures, market shifting, all that, what do you see going on there?
Well, we see that, in the last couple of years, of course, people have been fighting for properties, right? I'm sure everyone's heard of people paying ridiculous amounts, but whether it's the hedge funds or just buyers in general that are outbid by 100, 150,000 over what it's appraised for. And now we're starting to see more and more inventory every day. Locally in my market in Dallas-Fort Worth, there were over 3,700 new listings this week, over 5,000 properties that did price reductions, and 600 new properties that are coming on the market. And for a metroplex, yes, that's not a lot, but what we've normally been seeing, so you can see context, is 200 to 300 properties a day and no price reductions, because generally when you put it on the market, even if it was in crappy condition and it wasn't worth it, people were getting spoiled that they're like, hey, we're just so desperate to get in a house, we're willing, to buy it as is, or just to pay for it as, with the repairs and everything like that. And so to go from that, where you couldn't hold on to a property, to now we're seeing so many price reductions, that's where you start seeing things shift, right? Because now the prices are going to be going down, things are leveling out, which means that it's not this hot seller's market that it's been the last couple of years. You see that coupled with the higher interest rates, where a lot of buyers are losing their purchasing power. And then to top it all off, so of course the perfect storm, right? Now we see foreclosures constantly increasing month after month, which for an investor, if you're smart, means a ton of opportunity.
Yeah. And we're seeing the same thing up here in Pittsburgh too. It was the same, like you list the house on the market, you had 20 offers on the first day. Now they're sitting and some of them are getting reduced. And yeah, I agree. Interest rates going up, all that kind of stuff. What do you think we're going to be seeing in the next year? Like, do you think it's going to stabilize, or do you think we're going to be keep going down?
Well, I personally think that, the interest rates and everything was intentional, right? To help with inflation and everything like that. But you have to be super careful when you curb the market like that. And, historically, they've never really gotten it right? As far as like timing and all of that. So I think that what we're going to see when we see more and more inventory, and then we see people desperate where they have to sell right now, we're going to start seeing it shift to a buyer's market. We're going to start seeing a lot more opportunity where people are going to be out of the business, especially the real estate business, because they don't know how to adapt. Like, especially this last couple of years, there's so many new people that have come on the investing side as well as the agent side that were really spoiled, where they could mess up or not really do anything and they were able to get business, right? They were able to get, maybe they overpaid on a project, or maybe they didn't do a good job on the rehab and they were still able to sell. Well, that's going to be completely different now when you are in a buyer's market. So I think, we're going to start seeing a huge shift where it's going to turn into a buyer's market, and we're going to see a lot more people that are in foreclosure that need help.
Yeah. What kind of time frames are you thinking? Year or two?
Well, I've been saying this since like 2020 that like things are changing. So what I had said originally was the end of 2022. Things are happening fast. Like, I thought it was going to be in the next 6 months, but we're already seeing, look, for what we've seen the last couple months or the last couple years, I saw an MLS motivated seller, and I haven't seen those words in a very long time. So even in areas that are high demand right now, like, I looked yesterday because I love these townhouses here locally, and I have one, and so I'm kind of looking on the hunt for another one for an Airbnb. And I looked at all the listings, like there's about 4 or 5 that are in these townhouses, and they're all reducing their prices. They can't sell them. And this is in a high traffic, really desirable area. And so all of these are indicators. So I think the end of this year, we're going to be having a completely different conversation on strategies and what it looks like, and a huge reality check for a lot of people, especially those sellers that are trying to overprice, so it's going to get interesting.
Yeah, I agree there too. And it's going to be really interesting if you're an investor, just because there's going to be people actually motivated. Like, I know in Pittsburgh, the last couple of years, we haven't seen people motivated based on foreclosures, things like that. Normally they'll list.
Yeah.
We're seeing more people. If you can make it convenient, I'm moving out of state. Make it convenient for me, we'll sell at a discount. Obviously, the hoarder houses, people that are embarrassed to list their house, those, but we don't see the ones like we used to. So that'll be interesting seeing those come back.
Crazy right now is that we're kind of like in that period where, if you've been in the market for a while, that there's always that period as things are changing, where we're seeing that people projected their numbers based off when they first bought the property, like say for rehabs for people that are investing, and now they're stuck with this house with the way lower ARV. And so you have to be so careful with your numbers now as a wholesaler, as an investor, period, and be more conservative, because you really don't know. The active comps and the comps that are available now are really stronger than the solds, because that at least tells you in real time what's happening with the market. And so all of those are factors, of course, when it comes to someone's equity, and then of course, investing.
Yeah. And then you look at your rehab costs. If you bought a property before lumber went crazy, it's like, geez, I got an extra 20 grand in rehab or whatever.
Yeah, no. So I think the end of this year, like, you're probably going to have to do a lot more podcasts on like how to stay in business,
Right. So now we got the normal investors that do wholesaling and flipping, right?
Yeah.
I know you do a lot of creating solutions, like creating and helping people solve their issues. Like, what are some ways that investors can help in a situation that they're like, oh, I don't have a deal here, I can't do something for them? What are some of the ways that you found to find solutions that are win-win?
Yeah. So I'm a true believer that any lead you get, you need to figure out, you don't have to be the expert in all of the solutions or all of those tools, but you better know what it is, because you need to get that cost per lead down, because you're all in the game of marketing, like they're expensive. And of course, because you want to help that homeowner. So what we do is, of course, with short sales, we're able to provide a solution for a no equity situation. And even if there's little to no equity. And the reason why I say that is because if you have a house that's, really like, go back to the 100,000 scenario where you're like, hey, it might even be worth 100 and you can pay 100. But even in that situation, it's most likely a short sale, because generally if they're behind on one thing, they're behind on everything else. And so in those situations, that balance is increasing. They usually have HOAs or taxes or judgments or anything like that. And that's where the real negotiation comes into play, where we're able to go to bat, on behalf of that homeowner, and of course on your offer that we're submitting to the bank, where we can negotiate it. And the best part about this solution is that the investor's not having to pay us and the homeowner's not having to pay us. So it's a win-win, because now they get someone representing them for free, at no cost, which is huge because the homeowners are broke, otherwise they'd be paying their mortgage. So
yeah. And hey, guys listening, that's huge. Like if you have a property you locked up, you don't pay anything extra. Like Nicole and her team will go to bat for you and the bank pays them. So it costs you zero to do this. Now,
yeah. And even if this is a property that you're not wanting and you're like, hey, this is a retail deal, like we still pay for the lead. So either way you're looking at it is, hey, I've got all of these. And every time I talk about this, I always get investors that are like, I have like 10 properties right now in my pipeline that I'm going to go call. I'm like, exactly. Because it's already sitting there. You just said no and walked away because it didn't fit in your buy box. And you just moved on to the next one.
Yeah. And that's huge. That could be $20,000, $50,000. It could be big money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So say, Nicole, I find a property here and it fits that scenario. What's the process look like?
Yeah. So once you identify it and you're like, hey, you tell the homeowner, like, I want to purchase the property, but it looks like your situation might be a short sale because of how much you owe, I'm going to refer you over to our partner and this is what they specialize in. And that way it's a warm referral. So that way, they're going to know that we're an extension of you, even though we're a different company, that we're an extension of you, and they're going to answer our call, right? Because you've already done the hard work and build rapport, identified the lead. And these people are getting heavily solicited. So we want to make sure it's a warm referral. Then we'll call them, pre-qualify them, make sure that they qualify for the short sale. We have a very high closing rate when it comes to short sales because we do a really good job pre-qualifying them. We're not going to take something on if we can't close it, because ultimately, it's a bad business model to just not get paid, right? And we don't get paid until closing. So we work really hard to make sure it gets done. And then we'll work with the investor. So if you're referring it over to us, we'll get the offer from you. We'll get it executed. You have the first right of refusal, to buy the house. And we'll work with you on the repairs, because the deep discounts, the ones that our investors end up purchasing, are the ones that need repairs. If it's a beautiful new build, it's unlikely it's going to make sense for an investor, but the ones that need repairs, we're able to go to bat and get the price discounted, for the repairs.
So how does that work? Does the investor get it under contract and bring it to you, or do they bring it to you and then they draft a contract, like first right of refusal, like you're talking about?
Yeah. So either or, right? I always recommend getting it under contract, because even if we have to rewrite the contract to be compliant with the lender, that at least they're locked in. Because with these homeowners in pre-foreclosure, remember, you're not the only one talking to them. So even if you've had a great conversation, they could have somebody knock on their door or come up behind you and talk to them about something else. So, or we've gotten referred the same lead before from several different investors. So the person with the contract is the one that's locked in. So I always advise, get it under contract if you can. If not, we'll do our best to get it under contract, so that way that they're locked in. But by you having an executed contract, you do have the first right of refusal, because the seller signed off on it, and now the bank is going to be reviewing it to approve it.
Yeah, that makes 100% sense too. Because you send someone over, you know how these guys are. Like, oh yeah, you know what? I just talked to my uncle, and he said I should do something else. And then you just wasted all your time. Get it locked up first.
Yeah, 100%. We can always figure out details later.
Right, exactly. What kind of time frames on average? I know it's probably tough to say, but say I locked up something today. How's it work on a timeline?
So generally we're 2 to 3 months from start to finish. With all the craziness with appraisals and everything like that, it's gone down to 3 to 4 months, but still the industry standard, I think, is about a year plus for a short sale. So we have it down to a process to where once we get everything that we need from the seller, then we are submitting everything to the bank, and we call every other day. So we have virtual assistants that literally that's their only job. Call Wells Fargo on these 6 files and tell us, did you get our fax? Did you get our email? I mean, they bug the crap out of them because we have to stay on top of it so that they actually review it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So if someone who wants to get a hold of you and help, like how do people reach you? Let them know.
Yeah, so just head to our website, theghessqueen.com. You'll be able to see our education. At the top, it's refer a lead. If you just want to connect with us or reach out to our office. We also have free education on YouTube. So if you go to Short Sale Queen TV, it'll direct you right to our YouTube, especially if you're looking to get help on how to talk to pre-foreclosures. I do a lot of training specifically for investors on working with these kind of sellers. And it's great.
Yeah, that's important too, because a lot of people, like we deal with the marketing side, and a lot of people ask us like, hey, what do we say? And me on the marketing side, like I generate the lead and then I'm done. A lot of people don't know. So those are good resources.
Oh, 100%. Because from the marketing side that dialing down to get the right data is the hardest part. But then once you have the data, if you don't know what to do with it, it's useless. So if you don't know how to connect and build rapport, I mean, here's the thing. Our training and our education for working with pre-foreclosures and these type of homeowners, it goes beyond short sales. It goes to just people that are marketing, to these homeowners because they could have equity. A lot of them do, especially in this market. So it's super important because you're going to get so many more deals if you learn how to talk to them.
Now you offer this do you have a course too?
Yeah, so we actually have a lot of different products based on what people are wanting to learn. We have a course on short sales. We have a book, how to master short sales. All of this is on the website, and then we do a 4-week boot camp for people that are wanting to get mentorship to start prospecting. We get a ton of investors that go through here that are setting up their marketing, and they may have hired someone like yourself to get the data, but they're like, okay, I have the data, but I have no idea. Like I keep getting hung up on, or I know where to go. So we show you where to get it. Then we show you how to connect with these homeowners, how to overcome objections, doing role playing, and really like a step-by-step. And then we also teach you how to stop foreclosures. So things that we do in-house without an attorney. We also teach you how to negotiate. So there's a ton of information if this is what you're trying to do. Because a lot of people, they even see my YouTube and they're like, thank you so much for all this free information, but like, where do I start? So we have the boot camp for people like that are just wanting to hit the ground running.
That's awesome too. Do they go to on your website? You have information how to subscribe to that or sign up?
Yeah. So theghessqueen.com, and it has all the information there.
Okay, cool. And we'll have that in the show notes, guys. It's theghessqueen.com.
Yes, sir.
Hey, well, thanks for coming on, Nicole. Is there anything else we needed to talk about, or we pretty much cover it from a high level?
No, I think that covers it. I mean, I think if I could leave anything with people that are listening is if you are constantly thinking about providing solutions, you will always get more deals, and you will help build rapport so much quicker when you come from that mindset instead of I just need to lock up this deal, or I need to, get a contract. People forget that these are human beings that we're connecting with. And when you approach it that way, instead of from a sales perspective, you build rapport so much quicker, and you're able to do a lot more business.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Hey, so thanks for coming on. Everyone, thanks for listening. And until next time, go out and crush some deals.